Welcome to the sixth episode of Born in Trouble. I think it's six. Sounds like a good number.
Yeah, what season is this?
This is season four, I believe.
4. Yeah.
Four,
All
I
right.
believe. Yeah, season four, sixth episode. I'm your host, John X. Bringing you the best in mid conversation on the internet, along with my partner, Mr. Grant Lancaster.
What up, though?
What up, though? Thursday nights, the new nights of Born in Trouble. We're going to be doing a Tuesday show this week because Gene is going to be, it's Gene's birthday, Gene Hopkins.
Yes, sir.
We're going to be talking about different food choices and things of that nature. And that'll be the last show that we do on Tuesdays. It's going to be strictly Thursdays right now. It's harder to get together on Tuesdays. It's earlier in the week. You know, there's more stuff going on.
Yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
I always enjoyed our Thursday conversations the best because it was more like catching up as to, you know, what was going on before the end of the week.
Right.
You know, so
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, this is much better. Mr. Brooks won't be here this evening. He's got to do family duty later on this morning. That's what happens.
Yeah, daddy duty never stops.
Daddy duty never stops. Yes. And of course, Gene isn't here. So it's just me and your boy, Grant Lancaster.
Yes, sir. What's going on with him?
You know, same stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was thinking about the show earlier. And I was like, we started off, we never really wanted to talk about politics too much.
Right.
You know, and really everything that's going on in the world right now, it's all politics. You don't see anything else except for politics.
Mm-hmm.
Even the shooting, you know, that was like a blip. And that's a juicy story. But everything is politics. Everyone is wound up as to what's going to happen with, you know, this election coming up.
Right. Yes. It's there's a lot of anxiety around this whole election, man. That's taking the country by storm. A lot of things are falling by the wayside, which is kind of scary to me.
Yeah. Which parts do you find to be scary?
Well, I in my mind, I just feel like when something is going on that the public has its eye on, there's a money grab going on someplace too.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah,
that's like without question.
Yeah,
you know, the stock market just like tanked a couple of days ago. And you know, a few weeks ago, everyone was like, really, they were very high because there were a lot of profits being made, and then it just tanks. And whenever that happens, somebody is taking great advantage of that change in the market. That's how they actually redistribute wealth, from one hand to the other. Did you see that thing on the internet where they showed how the stock market, how your trades don't actually affect anything that's going on in real time in the market?
No, I didn't see it, but I know that little money don't change anything.
No.
Right. So my $10,000 won't, if I had $10,000 to buy Apple stock, that's not gonna make a difference because there's somebody that's buying 10 billion in Apple stock. Now that'll change it. That'll change the market.
Well, that's the reason why insider trading is illegal and will get you thrown underneath a bus because nobody wants the little guy taking advantage of the information that they all know. Insider trading is essentially what they do every time a trade is made.
Well, yeah. I mean, people have, like when you have that kind of money that you can do something to change the market, those people have similar interests. So the insider trading doesn't have to be, it don't have to be like a formal meeting. You know what I mean? Like that, I don't think that's how it operates. I think they just have interests that align. And somehow, you know, in these kind of cliques where everybody is kind of interrelated, you know, one person does something and everybody knows it. You know, it's like we say on the fire department, telephone, telegram, tell a fireman. So but that's how information is passed in these small groups. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, it's just so incestuous
Right.
that the money it stays in the same place. But there are a lot
Hmm.
of people that are like looking at losing money right now, money not staying in the same place, and that's like the middle of the country, what they would call the quote unquote middle class,
Right.
which really doesn't exist as much as even at the higher levels. And when I say the higher levels, those are the people that have traditionally had trust funds, and even in small amounts, whether it be $2 million,
Hmm.
that's still a very nice leg up.
Right.
And they're finding it more and more difficult to create those things for the next generations and to hold on to the things that they have. And I think that that's really the crux of this whole election right now. It's everybody trying to hold on to what they have. Would you disagree with that?
No, I mean, I think that's kind of the position that we're forced into, right? Because, big bank take little bank. And in America right now, any money down is a bet. I don't care if it's your pension. I don't care if it's your paycheck. I don't care if it's your savings. Any money that you have is at risk
Yeah,
on some level.
yeah. I would have to agree with that 200%. And no matter which way the election goes, I don't understand why people would really want the volatility of a Donald Trump. If you're a reasonable minded person, and I've
Hmm.
been listening to a lot of stuff on TikTok, and there are a lot of YT people, as they say on TikTok.
Hmm.
But there are a lot of those people that don't want Donald Trump back. They really don't. They talk about it as if it would be a horrible thing. Some of them don't like what happened at the insurrection, January 19th.
Right.
Some people don't like the way he's conducting himself with the veterans. Some people don't like the way that he just basically they just don't like him,
Right.
you know. And I was saying to someone else, I was like, if you started talking about Donald Trump and the bad things, one of the reasons why it's so numbing is because if you start talking about anything about him, you could literally go on for like an hour, 2 hours, and not take a breath
Right.
because there
Yeah.
were so many different things. And I saw someone trying to say like something bad about Kamala, and they actually had a point. And this person was saying, why can't you just admit that she is bad in that one area? And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, all right, well, even if she is bad in that one area, it doesn't equal the 254 other things with this other guy.
Right.
And then I started thinking about how crazy it is that this is the person that these people have put up for an election. I think YT people need to do better. Like, honestly speaking, they're the ones that at this nonsense is really what's ruining the country. You
Right.
know, what they probably need is a better, less schizophrenic
Yeah.
candidate.
So I don't think that white people uh like I don't think they get it. And when I'm talking about poor white people, I think that they believe that their whiteness makes them, you know, something more than what they are,
Hmm.
right? Um and it's there's always this thing about accentuating the differences between us,
Mm,
right? Between all people. So if it's color, if it's gender, if it's sex, whatever it is, there's always that separation that is amplified because the last thing that the 1%, the people that own the color blue, right? The last thing that they want is a well-educated, free thinking public. They want to control the narrative,
right.
so and that's why you have all this programming out here. That's why you get exactly what you get. And if you listen to the news, like if you listen to 247 50, 20, if you listen to 5 stations,
Mhm.
the news is going to be it's going to be the same story. And I don't mean it's just going to be the same story with like a different perspective. It's going to be the same
Mm,
story,
mm,
right? Verbatim. And
mm,
there have been videos out there showed, you know, you could take the news from 600 districts, and
mm,
the news is almost the same verbatim.
mm.
That's programming.
I think the people who first started up these systems, they had it right in the very beginning, and everyone else turned it out, and basically pimped it out and turned
Hmm.
it into what it is today. You know, back in the 70s when all of these tiny papers, these local papers were being snatched up by these bigger conglomerates.
Right,
Someone should have stopped it right then and there, because that would have, that competition was good, but people ultimately are, that we want it easy. We want it easier. So
right,
it's easier to discern if you only have one voice coming in. Well, this area is kind of close to this area. We can cover all three of these areas with this one outlet. Let's
right,
get rid of this. And then pretty soon now we have a uniform thing. And the little guy doesn't have the money to buy that uniform thing or to run that uniform thing.
right,
So everything is up for sale. I saw something the other day. Somebody was talking about Donald Trump, and they were saying that one of the things I love about him is that, he already has his money. He doesn't have to do anything. But everything that you see with this guy is everything is up for sale to the highest bidder.
right,
The two things can't be true. They can't both be true. We have to either decide that we're going to sell to the highest bidder or we're going to be moral. Same thing, I saw something about the Congress and South America with people trying to come over to this country. And they're saying that what they want to put into is, I forget what they call the act, but it's basically stay within your border act.
hmm,
And basically it's offering, like, I guess, financial support and getting into some of these South American countries and helping them out before these people start migrating to the United States in great numbers. But isn't that what they used to do in the very beginning, Grant, when they used to say that we're spending all this money in these countries? And isn't that what the diplomacy was in the first place? Isn't that the reason why the United States kind of toppled all of these governments all
right.
throughout Central America and that region, in order to keep that in control, in order to keep those people there and allow only a certain amount? So we're kind of, what are we, going backwards with just different leaders in the front of, what are we doing? What are they
Uh,
doing here?
well, you did it. You hit the nail on the head, in my opinion, because you did it around the world,
Hmm.
right? But people came to America. People from around the world came to America for quote unquote freedom, in a lot of cases.
Mm,
So once you conquered the world and people came here for freedom, well, yeah, we're going to give you some freedom, but at the same time, we still have to control the narrative. So that's why you probably had conglomerates buying up newspapers, buying up news outlets, buying radio stations, programming the music,
mm,
right? That's probably why you had that, in order to, even though you're here and the illusion of freedom is there. So like the illusion of choice is what we have, right? So yeah, you can go to Baskin and Robbins and choose from 31 flavors, right? But you're gonna pick between these two candidates that we want you to pick from,
mm. You
right?
think, yeah, yeah, you're right. But you really think that people come to the United States for freedom anymore? I think that, like, kind of, the world is as free as it's going to get everywhere. In
No,
countries
I
where there are
I would disagree with
ours.
that.
You would
I would
disagree with
disagree with
that?
that. Yeah, I think there's a lot of countries that are far more oppressive to just ways of thought, um, ways of life. There's to women. There's places that are far more oppressive. Like
But
we have freedom to do things,
mhm.
right? But even that has limits.
Okay, well, I think in any society, in every society, there's going to be a limit to freedom.
Right.
But I think that honestly, I think that most of these things, I think that people come to the United States for toys more than they come for freedom. They come for the ability to be able to lord themselves over someone else, to get to a situation where they can actually be essentially their oppressors. I believe the great dream, the American dream now is no longer just a house and two cars, even if you're an immigrant. That used to be a part of the American dream for an immigrant. You come here,
Right.
look at how they live. You know, we live on the top of each other. We live in these hovels, these places that don't have these electricity grids that connect and things go off and you can't find it. You come to the United States, you get all of these things. But I think that also they come for positioning. You know, I think that's one way that a lot of people who have come to this country who are they say African by nature, not ADOS. This is one of the reasons why they come and they find themselves, you see a lot of them aligning themselves with the white power structure,
Right.
you know, because of the fact that they want to be above someone. It's not about they're not coming to join our struggle. It's like Robert said before, nobody comes here just to they don't come here to just join you in your struggle. They come here for themselves.
Well, no, absolutely. Yeah, you come here because you can become a part of the popular or the powerful people, right?
Mhm.
Or at least their ideologies, and probably if you accept the ideologies, then you can probably get some money from it,
Right.
right? And that would lead you to the place where now you are an oppressor as opposed to being oppressed. But those people are the exception to the rule, right? The ones that actually make it, right? It's like basketball players. Let's use them because they basketball players, a lot of them make a lot of money. The LeBron James, the Steph Currys, they make big dollars in our estimation. And I say our meaning people from here,
Mhm.
right? Like people like I consider them my peer group, not monetarily, but they're my peer group.
Mhm.
So they make a lot of money in my estimation.
Mhm.
But compared to the people that own the color blue, right? Like the people that own the color blue are paying LeBron James. So
So
is he really making a lot of money?
so the question is like those people who are looking for exceptions, who are exceptions and coming here looking for that exception. Are they
Hmm.
ever going to get acceptance from those people that own the color blue? I don't think that I think that the answer is I'm going
No,
to answer my own question. It's no. But I don't think they really understand what that means
I agree.
because they come here with these ideas and these thought processes and they don't see any types of barriers because like really honestly what we see as racism here they see as Sunday when you come from colonialism and you come from a caste system and you
Hmm.
understand automatically there's something above you, you know, like the Jewish religion, they wear the yarmulkes because there's always something. It's to remind you that there's always something above you. For everyone else, they have these systems in place.
Right.
That's the way it seems to me. You have a caste system, you have a coloration system. You
Hmm.
have these people who actually are coming over here, and they're not actually they're happy with where they are because they don't really need to be. They're not coming to lead.
Right.
No, they've already accepted the fact that they're not going to lead. That's
Hmm.
going to be somebody else that's going to essentially set it up and allow them to walk through the best possible pathway that they can get.
Right. But you're still talking about a people. Most immigrants that come to this country tend to stay with their people, right?
Right.
So like I was talking to somebody about like restaurants. So you go to American restaurants, everybody's using cash, using cards. But
Mhm,
like if you go into the little Chinese restaurants, if you go into like some of these Arabic restaurants that I go to,
mhm.
they don't want your credit card.
Yeah.
They are cash only.
Yeah, they have it
So
on they'll have it on the
right.
on the cash register.
Yeah, and that's done systematically. They do that because okay, now I can if I make 20, I can say I made 10 and
Hmm.
only pay taxes on half if they paying taxes at all.
Right.
But that cash can be used to further the entire people,
Hmm.
right? Credit cards, it's way too much regulation. Like it's way too many people in your business,
Right.
right? And they don't want that. They don't want to. It's like you said, they don't want to lead. They want to get away from where they were and
Right.
live what they consider to be a better life. Now, whatever that means to whoever it is, that's what it means. But they get a better life here somehow.
Well, you just expressed an enterprising immigrant who comes over and takes advantage of a loan that may be available to them that's not available to someone who's already a citizen of the country in a specific area. So that's a hustler, and they don't want cash. Someone who's coming over with a degree, looking for a medical degree, looking to work in the
Hmm.
hospitals. That's different. They're more going to toe the line and walk the walk because they're going to be able to get those good things based upon playing within the system.
Right.
And you bring up something very interesting because I had saw something where this it was an article from someone who worked in a restaurant, and they were asking, please, please, please leave us cash. Give us
Hmm.
cash tips. Don't
Oh,
write it down
absolutely.
on the thing. I don't want to. It allows us, and the person just went on and on about what the advantages of cash are,
Hmm.
and the corporate system. So basically, to me that's a clearly defined line between corporatism and free market. Free market allows you to walk away with more cash.
Right.
But the corporate system wants their piece of everything because they're going to take that, they're going to give a portion of it to one server, they're going to tax it. First, they're going to tax it as a tip. They're going to give it to one person, they're going to tax it again. They're going to break it
Hmm.
down and they're going to get extra taxes on top of that money.
Right.
And these are ways that people traditionally have used to move forward. So when you vote for systems or you vote for people who are working with these systems, what you're essentially voting for is less money.
Right.
Now, would you agree?
I see that.
You can see that.
Hmm.
So the question is, which party would you vote for in order to get more of these things under control? And the answer is neither. Because
Absolutely.
they're both in the pocket. Those are places where you're not going to be able to get around corporate greed without completely and totally removing everyone from their position within the government. That's something that would be smart to do, but people probably would never do that. Would
Right.
you agree with that? You'd agree
Yeah.
with that?
But that's because people just go again. The 85s are going 85.
Hmm.
Right. So once it's out there, and it kind of it becomes a decent idea. It's on social media. You see a couple of people doing it, or you hear about somebody doing it, and then all of a sudden everybody's doing it,
Hmm.
right? So you gonna always get it.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it. That's just how we are.
I just put a TikTok up a little while ago, and it was this guy he's talking about. And the reason why I mention it is because I don't want anybody to Kyrie Irving me.
Right.
Because like what he's talking about in the video is he's talking about at the end he says like he's explaining these people were actually socialists. The whole socialist thing, I'm not promoting socialism. So I just
Right.
want anyone to know on the record, I'm not. And I actually changed it on my page from being everyone could see it to just my friends, just for that reason. Because I don't want to
Hmm.
be misconstrued as being pushing socialism. But it explains the origins of redneck and the term redneck. And this guy talks about this battle that they had in the early 1900s with a coal mine, and it was like 20,000 of these people, and it was black and white coal miners that rose up. And he was talking about how you worked for the coal mine. They didn't even pay you. They paid you in company dollars. If you quit the
Mm-hmm.
job, they came and kicked you out of your house. And this is the history. All of these groups got together, black and white, and they went and they fought the police and the other agitators that they had that came in, and they lost the battle. But the reason why they call the term where the term redneck comes is that they wore red bandanas around their necks, but they were
Mm.
actually fighting side by side with people who had common interest.
Right.
Right. This is the only logical path, but we're not in an age of logic, are we? We're in an age of emotion. So we're never going to have that logical path come to fruition. Would you agree? Or
Absolutely
do you
not.
think that absolutely not. You think there's a path. How could that be? How could these messages in this world where we have a dumbed down education, people don't want to learn things on their own, despite having all of this power in their fingertips, at your fingertips, all this power.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Why do you think absolutely not? Why do you think that there's even a chance at this point? And if Donald Trump becomes president, he's going to shut it all down. We're
At
going through our last election right now.
at some point, there's going to be a reset. You know what I mean? So just think back a few years ago when like the East Coast blacked out. What was that? Maybe 15, 18 years ago, the East Coast blacked out.
Yeah.
And that was a precursor to the reset, right? When you couldn't, there was no internet. You know what I mean? Like it was down.
Hmm.
Everybody, the internet wasn't even as popping, like
It
social
wasn't
media
as
wasn't
relevant.
popping like that.
It
Right,
wasn't as right.
right.
We still knew how to survive without these computers and these devices. The
Right.
majority of
So
people.
and I just to give you an example, like Lay just turned 9. She got an iPad for her birthday. Right? Now that she has this iPad in her mind, she cannot use a regular telephone anymore.
Mm,
Right? She has to FaceTime in
mm,
her mind. She
mm,
and she told me, she said, I don't like using a telephone. I like to see you.
hmm. That's a good
But
thing, though.
yeah, but I'm
It's a slow
saying
process.
this is the mentality at 9. This is the mentality. So at some point, our reliance on everything being electronic and this portable information device that we carry in our pocket that we use for the dumbest shit, right? Like at some point, there's gonna come a time where some resource is gonna run out. Some power grid is gonna crash. Some bomb is gonna get dropped. Something is gonna happen that's gonna cause this country to have to restart without all of this stuff that we take for granted, that
Well,
we just abuse.
I forget what country it is in Africa where they mine all of the minerals that go into our cell phones. But if something were to happen there, it would pretty much shut a lot of stuff down.
Right.
But they'll never let that happen. They've already like signed them into these horrible contracts, and it's
Hmm.
one place on earth where child labor is acceptable.
Right.
It's not even something that we would talk about, child labor per se, because God forbid we lose our devices. They're going to move forward, and AI is becoming, if it not already, sentient in
Right.
many places. So then you add that into the mix. What is that going to mean for people?
Yeah.
It's
We're gonna be like in the movie Wally, that cartoon. We're gonna just be pushing buttons,
the
and that's it.
Jetsons.
And the machines are gonna do everything. Right. Yeah, but in the Jetsons, they still worked in everything. In the movie
Mhm.
Wally, the machines did all the work.
Yeah, like what does that look like for people? What does that look like for the engine of the individual? Me, having come back from my journey, I find
Hmm.
myself looking for deeper meaning in a lot of different things, and even just like taking a regular breath. Before we started the show, I told you how my visit with the doctor went, and
Hmm.
it's a hopeful thing, but it's like it's almost like a miracle in a lot of ways what I've gone through. And to see that, to come back and see what we're consistently fighting over, there's nothing, to me, it seems like there's a clear path. And we already know what the problem is. The problem is like, the greedy fuckers.
Right.
It's the problem. They're the ones. We don't have to, we never really did agree on everything.
No.
It's like it's like the internet, these devices, this is how AI is working against you. These devices, they have ways, they're learning every day. And they come up with these programs that allow you to see people who are of your like mind, and just enough for the people that you hate to keep you going and stoke you and
Right.
move you forward. And all of it is just basically to take you out of the progression that's supposed to be life. Today is like a portal day. I don't know, someone was telling me something about a portal and like new ideas, and you can manifest thoughts and you can manifest things, once in like 24-year thing that
Right.
comes through. And like I told you, I ran into that my old friend today.
Hmm.
And I thought about him like 4 days ago for probably the first time in maybe 10 years. It's almost as if I manifested him into existence out of no place.
Right.
You know, are we making the mistake of thinking that our toys and our gadgets are more powerful than our wills and our determination? Are we taking the have we taken the value of humanity and made it like smaller? I think the answer is probably definitely yes.
Well, I think it's I would say yes, but I would say I would put a little spin on it, because I think the issue that you have is that now, instead of a collective mentality, now the mentality is the I,
Mm,
right? Which is why it's, in my opinion, why it's called an iPhone, an iPad, an iPod, because it's all about, it's designed to make you think mainly of yourself as opposed to kind of the collective group. So there's, which is making the group fractured,
yeah, the
right?
concept
So
of the Olympics.
right. Yeah. So you're not even thinking, you're thinking your thoughts, and the social media, the algorithm is sending you more validation of whatever thoughts you have, good, bad, or indifferent, right? But it's sending you more validation of that. And it's just making you think the same thing is now your opinion now becomes a fact.
Should we be discussing these things more? The fact that everything is so tailored to us to the point where it's really dumbing us down and numbing us. I find myself, I look at my algorithms, and my algorithms they're pretty distinguishable for me, but I have that mindset. I can
Hmm.
see where they're feeding me and where they're moving me. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is interesting. This is interesting. AI is testing me this way. Most people don't do that. They just look at the article and they're like, that's like the wifey and everything. She's like, oh my God, I'm so triggered. And I'm like, I'm like, that's good. And I'm like, it's very interesting. But you should look at the reason why you're getting that article and why they're trying to trigger you.
Right.
Nobody ever asks the why anymore.
Yeah.
They just go about with the action, you know.
Right. But that's the thing though. Like you have to disconnect from it,
Hmm.
right? At some point, right? And so like me, like my phone is not in my room when I sleep,
Mm.
right? I don't want it there. And it started out because I just didn't want it to ring, and I hear it.
Hmm.
right? If you call me in the overnight, unless it's my oldest daughter, if you call me in the overnight, you just out of luck.
You miss a lot of booty calls that way, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But whatever. So, but for
You've
me, like I
chosen,
said,
I make that joke, but you've chosen the quality of life.
yeah, I need it to be away because I need my brain, and this is what I don't think our brains truly shut down, which is why I think our bodies break down earlier. Because
Mm,
you start hearing stuff about people. When I hear about a 30-year-old having a heart attack, a 30-year-old having a stroke, that's highly disturbing to me. And I
mhm,
understand our lifestyles are not the greatest lifestyles. We don't eat the greatest. I get all of that. But
mhm,
to me, the body is a machine that will heal itself
mhm.
given the proper stuff, right?
That's
And rest is the number one thing.
so you're preaching to the choir right now, Grant. You really are. And also at the same time, you're kind of setting the tone for next week when Gene comes in, because
Right.
we wanted to talk about things like that. And that's kind of like the conversation I had with my doctor today. And
Hmm.
that's like, I'm very happy with that conversation, because when I told her why I was getting my second opinion, and the fact that I had this monitor already on me, which I could only get from that type of doctor, she was very open to that. And one of the things that I said to her was that, I wanted to monitor what happens with my body when I eat foods at this time, when I do this at this time, when I want to know, rather than have to go and prick my finger and not know, I can know in real time
Right.
exactly what's going on. And that way, the technology is great because it's allowing me to mitigate and work my way off.
Right.
But in a lot of ways, like, it's intrusive. It could be intrusive. But
Hmm.
I've always done similar things with myself. It's like, people think that that's odd when you take time for yourself, but they don't realize that these are the things that your body needs and the machine that you needs. And I look at you and I look at Rob and I look at myself, and Rob he's been through a
Oh yeah.
terrible medical situation,
Hmm.
and he still looks younger than
Right.
most of his peers,
Right.
because of the way that he lives his lifestyle. And that was kind of what I was telling my doctor. And my doctor was basically like, I love you. I love what you're saying. You're on the right track and everything. You keep doing what you're doing. My sacrifice is different. And all of our bodies are different, and that's the thing. All of our chemistries are different. All of our problems are different. And our
Right.
needs are different and everything.
Hmm.
But we can't rely on these machines to always tell us what our needs are. And that's what these algorithms do. They
Right.
control our needs, they control our thoughts, they
Yes, sir.
control our interactions, they
Hmm.
control who we see, who we don't see, and what we're doing.
Yeah. They
And
make you want. They make you want. They make you buy. They make you eat. They don't make you, but they guide you toward things to buy. They guide you towards things to eat. They got, you know what I mean? It guides you toward these things.
right.
And
I think Go ahead.
most of us just fall for it.
Yeah. I think that we have these great slogans in the world today, like resist,
Hmm.
but we don't apply them properly. We don't resist the right things. We don't resist the wrong urges. We're seeing it's breaking down society. It really is. It's breaking it down. It's breaking them down at a younger age. I was talking to someone today, and someone that I work with in the business. I got a lot of guys I work with in the business I speak to. We conversate, we set up things that we're going to do in the near future and in the far future. And I've known this guy since he was probably about 29 years old now. And he's like 38 now. He's 38
Okay.
in the business. And I was telling him about something, and he was like, well, that age is not really what that age used to be. It's not even what that age used to be when I was, at that age. And that's essentially what we're seeing every year. We're seeing every generation getting a little bit older and a little bit more dependent. Di told me today that one of the couples that she works for, she found out today that these are grown people with 2 kids and
Hmm.
everything, and money to pay a high price for, those services for someone to watch their kids, but their phone plans are still with their parents.
Right.
And
Yeah.
he was asking to move his phone plan, because apparently he needs something that's like, more credit. So this dude's
Hmm.
almost 40.
Yeah. That's how it goes down. That's how it goes down.
And you wonder why, and these are the people that are sitting here telling you that are choosing, they have the same say in this world that you and I, who actually have always paid attention, have.
Right.
If you look
Well,
at it from that metric, because some of them want to cut us, they don't want us voting at all for whatever reasons,
right.
you know. But for my metric, this is why you probably shouldn't be voting.
Right. So, but and there's grown children out here,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, you're an adult in terms of age, and we're all kind of guilty of it, right? Like you expect a certain maturity to come with a certain age, but
yes,
that maturity doesn't always show up, and it's even more difficult to make it show up in these days and times because there is no true interaction with people. The interaction is only, or primarily, the interaction is on a device of some
exactly.
sort.
That was exactly my point.
Yeah,
I'm watching Family Feud, and I'm looking at these people, and their 16-year-olds look like 24-year-olds, like 28-year-olds today. Even their mannerisms, the way they carry themselves. And then it makes me wonder, like, why? What was so different about that generation? And pretty much the world was different. A lot of these systems were different. You know, I've heard a woman say, if I could go back in time and sue for all the times that I was touched, I'd be a multimillionaire.
right,
Not saying that's a good thing and everything, but what it was that they had to fight for themselves. They had to fight you off themselves. And sometimes that guy who was like doing that, he might not have been he might have been basically a juvenile boy.
right, right.
That's what little boys do. Even when I was a little kid, I was never a booty grabber. But
Right.
that's what little boys do.
Oh
And
no,
little
yeah, I was
boys
grabbing
sometimes,
booties.
huh?
I was grabbing booties, bruh.
You're grabbing booties.
Absolutely,
Not
absolutely.
strange booties you didn't know.
No, no,
That's
that I knew.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking
Yeah.
about, listen, I'm talking about strange booties.
No, no,
You
no.
know, you had those guys, you had guys back in the day that would go around and they would pinch women in the butt,
Right.
right? You saw that as a
Yeah,
kid.
absolutely.
Now, think about someone listening to this who's like 20 years old, or not even 20 years old, 30 years old. They can't even imagine a world like that
Right.
where you could go to a mall and you could see groups of people walking and a group comes, boop, grabs you by your booty.
Right.
Oh my God, I can't believe it. You know what I'm saying? People would look at you like, what the hell are you complaining about? This is exactly this is what happens. Or they wouldn't say that. Like, generally, what it was the female reacted and did something. Sometimes the guy was like put into a negative space and shamed away. You
Right.
know, Sooner or later, they learned that grabbing booties wasn't the way to go about life. And sometimes that same person would grab the wrong booty and somebody's brother would come and pound the shit out of them.
Hmm.
And that was a different lesson. And that lesson also would stop you from grabbing booties. Somebody who was watching could just see that and be like, you know what? It might not be a good idea to be that guy because somebody else's brother could come and pound the shit out of me.
Right.
So how we learned things was different. Now you go to court, or now it's like, you grab that same booty today, it's like, oh my God, I'm filing a lawsuit.
Right. Well, that's the thing though, right? So I mentioned Sounder quite a few times. So you know the story, the 8-year-old, like 8, 10-year-old boy, he got to walk like across the couple counties to go see his daddy in jail. And I mean, they just let him go,
Yeah.
right? I mean, these kids, we don't even let them off the block,
Right.
right? So where do we lose that? Well, not where did we lose it? How do we get it back?
I don't
Right?
think we can because there's too much information out there.
Right.
Because like what happens is you let them go. Who's the first person that's going to get dragged for letting that boy walk across those two counties?
Right. So that's the thing. Like you can't go back to an age
Hmm.
because you could bring back the clothes, the music, you could bring back all of that stuff from like let's say the 70s, right? You could bring all of that stuff back. But you can't go back to the mentality because people have decided that they are advanced past that mentality,
Hmm.
right? When black was beautiful, right? Kind of deal. When black people were trying to do their own thing
Hmm.
inside of America, but without America,
Hmm.
right? But we've gotten away from that mentality because we have become so Americanized, right?
We
That we could never have our own society kind of inside of, but without.
Well, what first thing they do is they take away your individualism, and they tell you that your individualism as a black person is inherently racist because
Right.
you're separating yourself from the herd. And now you're a part of these people, but you're a part of these people, but they don't see you as being equal. They want you to be a part of them, but they want you to be a part that's over the part that's over by the back door.
Hmm.
Like, your uncle's secret and everything. But don't ever try to be black is beautiful again.
Right.
Because the black is beautiful thing is wrong. This whole situation with Kamala, and she's not black and everything, because you and I both know we went to, it's the diaspora.
Right.
If you're a part of the diaspora, that's what it is. I don't understand these fights that they have on Twitter between these people, but I do understand it at the same time. These people that have come from Africa and have grown up here and they still associate with their tribal stuff in Africa. And that's the way that they've grown up. And that's completely and totally understandable. And I respect that, you know, but you don't take the time to learn about the other culture that you've basically come and usurped, and you don't respect that. It's
Right.
all about respect. And it also works in the other way around too, where the black American, is completely disrespectful of the African culture. you
Hmm.
know. But the diaspora is respectful of all cultures within it.
Right.
That's what the diaspora does. Recognizes the sameness. We're not the same, but we're not different at the same time. And where
Right.
we're the same is basically they hate us.
Well, we're more the same than we are different,
Right.
and
Especially
that's
here.
across the board. That's across the board, though.
Right.
That's black, white, Italian, Spanish, whatever.
So
We're
true.
more we're more we're more the same than we are different.
So true. So true. Black, white, Spanish. Spanish could be black or white, depending. You have the Afro
True.
Latina, and then you have the Hispanic who considers themselves to be wholly white, who's always
Right.
doing too much. And that's
Hmm.
like, it's funny. I was in that cesspool of a town today. Smith, where my doctor's office is in a town that's quote unquote, it's like a good neighborhood, but they've had more Trump rallies and stuff than pretty much any other place on the roadway and everything. And first of all, I got like, I didn't have a car today, so I had to take the bus. It's a very easy ride. So I took the ride and I'm there in like almost no time, and I get off and I'm walking to the doctor's office, and I got my first feeling of what it must be like a kid who's about to get like, kidnapped, because I'm
Hmm.
walking down the street and somebody pulls up to me in a car, and he was like very shifty and shady looking dude. And this never happens to me because I'm big. So people don't usually like, come and drive up. Bro, can I get $3? I could use some gas and everything. He's pushing a BMW. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So this is why I call it a shitty town,
Hmm.
because it's like the facade of what these places are, as opposed to what they actually are two different things. What that town is, it's a town where people had money or used to have money or grew up with generational money. They're still trying to fake the funk. So they're driving in these nice cars, but you're pulling up on guys asking them for money and everything, looking all sketchy, you know,
Hmm.
with the your buddy in the side of the car. I'm like, nah, I'm just going to the doctor. B, I'm good. And then I'm walking over here. I'm just walking back this way. Oh yeah, just hop in the back. Nah, B, I'm not hopping in your car.
Hmm.
I'm not hopping in your car. Like, what are you gonna do? You know
They
what I'm
wanted to
saying?
give you a prostate exam.
I don't know what the fuck they wanted to do, B. I don't know what they want. But this guy looked like no, but this guy looked like he was like one of those. He looked like what should I say? He's like a Vin Diesel type. You don't know what the fuck
Right.
race he was.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? But the guy that was next to him was a white guy
Right.
and everything. But either way, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like I'm about to get kidnapped and everything. So it's like I was like, I wonder what I would look like on the side of a carton of milk
Right.
at 54 years old. So I'm like,
Right.
and I've never had that thought, before, but I'm like, wow. And I'm walking in the back of these stores because I'm always looking for a shortcut. And
Right.
I'm not gonna change my pathway and show any type of fear or whatever. That they waiting for me. They just waiting for me as I'm going around. And I'm like, damn, like, I almost got kidnapped today and everything. So
Yeah, that's
that was
crazy.
like that was that. But then on the way back, on the way out, another thing, it's like I got out, perfect timing, got across the street, busy street, you know, buses coming. You can tell with these devices and gadgets, you can tell when they're coming. So it's like
Right.
3 minutes. It'll be there in 3 minutes. Across the street, one guy, like really nice, big truck, still in the town, big truck, you know.
Hmm.
So it's like maybe he's a Trumper, maybe he's one of those Trumpers that says that they're not really prejudiced, and he really isn't. He just don't know no better, or maybe he's just like a Democrat, whatever. So he's cool. He lets me pass, right? Here comes the Spanish guy in the car. Yada da 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 yada da 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 da. P, just keep it moving. You're doing too much. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You're doing too much. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, I happen to be this, and I'm in your town for like 5 seconds,
Yeah.
and you gotta be the one that's doing the most.
His algorithm has told him to do the most.
His
That's
algorithm
why
is
he's
so
doing it.
that's how he's gonna fit in.
Yeah.
That's how he becomes the oppressor. And then
Hmm.
next thing you know, his little boy he marries someone who lives in the neighborhood, and they forgot everything that they ever went through.
Right.
Never happened.
That's how it
And
works.
and they don't invite the family from the South Bronx over anymore. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Those cats don't, the ones that are still in the struggle. That's how you get
Hmm.
these families that are different.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know if that was
Look.
too much. Is that too much? I don't
Nah, that was fine.
know. I never
It's
know.
a wild story.
It's a
It's
wild
a wild
story.
story though.
You know,
Yeah.
you just get that crossing the street. That's just crossing the street.
Right.
You know,
Yeah. In cesspools of talents.
cesspool's town. To me, it's a fucking cesspool. Like people don't understand. Like I have traveled to all these different places, for my work,
Right.
first as a worker. And when you're doing that moving, but you get to
Hmm.
talk to people.
Right.
I talked to like thousands, probably, I would say easily 50,000 people on different phone calls, for
Hmm.
different stuff, escalation stuff, a supervisor, so I've dealt with people in their worst, at their
Right.
worst, and talked them down and just been like, hey, B, like, yo, it's gonna be all right.
Right.
We're gonna get
Yeah.
this done. We're gonna get it done. So I've seen them on that level and everything. And I've also seen them, calling about their finances, the most personal thing on this earth. How you basically like, how you're gonna pay for events like graduation and or college and stuff like that. How are we gonna plan this out? and I've done that and everything. And I can tell you that when people describe towns as cesspools and stuff, they be completely and totally wrong. The
Hmm.
cesspool place is the place that has a lot of money, where the guys are trying to, where this one is trying to catch up with this one and keep up with this one. And they're doing all this fucked up shit, including sleeping with wives, including, doing the most unscrupulous things with money in order to stay ahead, in order to keep the appearances up of what they're doing. And they treat people like ultimately shit.
Hmm.
And to me, what bothers me the most, I guess this is what I've probably been trying to say all show. That is the real American dream. To live in that shitty neighborhood with shitty neighbors you can't trust. Wife may look good, and you may even get to like bang her rancid behind once or twice because she is no good. And she's just there for like whatever.
Wow.
It's like
You said
all of these like
rancid.
terrible people. It's like terrible people in a small space doing terrible things and wanting terrible things for you.
Hmm.
That's what
Yeah,
that's what it is. I can't describe it any
makes
better.
sense. Makes sense.
Whereas you can live in a project. We've been in projects in the Bronx where there was nothing but love in the entire building, from the first floor to the top floor.
Right. Well, the happiest people are people that typically have the least,
Yeah.
because everything means something.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like you hear people say all the time, people with money, they say they were happiest when they were on the way up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just the struggle means something,
Right.
right?
But
Yeah.
AI tells you different though. AI has you thinking the wrong things. Like, listen, this is by no means, it doesn't mean that everyone that has money is a miserable piece of shit
Right.
and everything. It's just that a lot of times when you have money, you're going to find yourself living next to or around miserable pieces of shit. So
Right.
I've always preferred to live around people, just regular
Yeah.
people,
And
you know.
AI doesn't AI tells you that there is no struggle,
Mm,
right? That's, to me, that's what AI does, because it just shows you the end. It doesn't show you anybody on the come up. It shows you somebody that's already there. So
I don't know if you're still talking. Oh, okay.
yeah,
There
no,
you go.
yeah,
You're
you
back.
froze.
Okay,
Yeah.
you're back. Go ahead. You said AI
So yeah,
doesn't show you on the come up.
yeah, it doesn't show you on the come up. It shows the destination. It doesn't show the journey,
Right.
right? And where the validation comes from the journey, not so much the destination.
Yeah. B. And we're gonna pretty much land with that because that's really with that thought process right there, because that is the best part of the whole thing. The
Right.
most fun when I think about when Craig was about to get signed and all that stuff,
Hmm.
everything. The most fun about it was when we were struggling and you, me, and him when it walked over to 7-Eleven to shoplift.
Absolutely.
You know that
Absolutely.
because we needed items and we had no
Yeah.
money. Now at
Right.
this point in time, right now,
Yeah.
I'm not a bad person per se, but I needed those things at that time.
Right.
And today with that comes a whole lot of judgment. But there's a
Hmm.
whole bunch of people that have done that and 100 times
And oh,
worse,
way worse. Way
way
worse.
worse. So we're sitting up here and we're judging ourselves against these metrics that no human can abide by or
Hmm.
should be trying to abide by and
Right.
everything. So you have a final thought you want to leave with, Grant, or
Yeah, but it has nothing to do with this. It's actually 808 day. So, the rolling 808 beat machine, they lot of hip hop history in today. So yeah,
that's
that's my
fire.
final thought. I live where I live, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fire. That's fire. Yeah. It's like it's been a lot of music themes going on today. And that was really at the creative height.
Yes,
So
sir.
and we still there. Listen, I got nothing but love for everybody in the audience. I hope that nobody's too mad that we bring a show that's not related to politics or Kamala or this guy's hair or whether or not he got shot. We know he didn't get shot. Um, or any of that other stuff and everything. By the way, and people could say, oh, no, of course he got shot. No, well, actually, he didn't allow his doctor's records or anything, records of the treatment while he was there to ever be released, because if they did, then it would probably show something different. And the reason why people can say stuff like this online and not have it pulled down is because if they did try to say that it wasn't true, then they would have to prove that something actually had happened. But that's just my thought process. I have a small brain. What can I say? Anyway, Born in Trouble, yo. Thanks for listening. The City Wing King, Mr. Grant Lancaster.
Yes, sir. My
Yes,
mellow,
sir.
my ace.
Listen, man, do me a favor, and if you run into any Detroit Lions players, tell them to take it easy on the Giants and the scrimmages with the fights and the scrums and everything. We got it bad enough as it is. It's going to be a tough enough season. We don't need to be fighting anybody. Born in Trouble. Yeah, catch y'all next Tuesday. This Tuesday coming
Tuesday with Gene
and everything. And peace.
Peace.